The forehand leg is one of the most heated topics when it comes to the tennis forehand, and you probably heard it repeatedly before, how you're supposed to point the butt cap towards the target and lag your wrist. But even to this day, I see a lot of club players that I teach having trouble with the forehand lag. So we're going to look at that today and have you crushing those forehands in no time. So we're going to take a look at the side angle here, and the mistake I see a lot of the players make is as they're about to initiate that movement of the forward swing, they've been told that, okay, well, point the butt cap towards the target, but they initiate the movement from the arm, and as they're going through, the butt cap is going forward, but look at the angle of my racket as I'm getting close to hitting the ball. A lot of the times I see a player hitting it late because when they make contact, the angle of the racket is more towards the right. So when I hit the ball, it goes towards the right more. In order to counter that movement now, we actually turn our wrist to hit, and then it's still not correcting the problem. It's just we're trying to compensate now, and then we try to flick the wrist to make the angle of the strings more forward so the ball goes there. That also affects our follow through. So then going forward, and then I'm trying to flick that wrist to get the angle correct, and then I follow through like that as well. A lot of the things go wrong because just the starting point is not right. And we're gonna look at now what the correct setup looks like and what we can do in order to start hitting those forehands better. So the very first move, as we get set up for our forehand, from the backswing portion to now when I'm about to start going forward, the very first move has to be from the hips. So it's not the arm coming forward first, it's actually the hips starting to rotate. So if I'm in my neutral stance, then the hips go first and my shoulders turn, and then the arm follows. As you can see now, with that forehand lag, I'm still using the lag, but because the initial movement is from the hips and the shoulders turning, by the time I get to the contact, my strings are facing the right way, and I'm able to execute my full forehand. Same thing happens on the open stance as well. If I'm in my open stance, as soon as I want to initiate my forehand now, it has to be the hips first. Hips, shoulders, and then the racket gets to the contact facing the right way. A lot of the players, when they're hitting the lag, they focus too much on the lag, and then they just use the arm from here, and that will cause them to be late. But lag is great when you can use it in the right manner. And then that always starts from initiating from the hips first, and then you're able to hit a good forehand by starting here first. And now this is the bad one, just the arm. I still lagged everything, but I had to compensate to make the strings face forward in order to hit it. And that, as you can see, looked a lot different than the other forehands that I just hit. And then on to the most important part now, and how we can actually practice what we just discussed and get better at hitting forehands. So we're gonna start with shadow swings first, but we're gonna do it a little bit differently this time, and we're gonna divide the shadow swings in three parts. The first part being how we're gonna initiate our movement. So from this position here, our first movement has to be the hips, right? So everything goes in order, so we're gonna break it down and do it in order. So hips first, and then the shoulders are turning with it as I'm rotating my hips, and then the arm follows, and then I follow through. Once you do that a few times, then you can add the arm motion in it. So shoulders first, and then the arm goes through, shoulders first, hips first, the arm goes through, and then the last part is going to be adding the follow through. So hips, shoulders, arm, and then follow through. Hips, shoulders, arms, and follow through. And just a really good way of practicing of how to initiate from this first and then following through, and not doing this motion here with the rest of the body is pretty static and then it's just not moving as much, but my arm is just going through the motions. Another great drill you can do on the court before you start any practice session, which really enforces what we just talked about, is this drill on your right. It only takes 5 minutes, and then you can do that every time before your practice session. So check this one out, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye.